one crucial part is agriculture, and one thing you said you were particularly surprised by was how great a problem bovine flatulence is. Do you want to explain what that is and why it's a problem?
Yeah, so the animals that can eat grass have very unusual stomachs that have these bacteria that are methanogenic in there, and so they leak natural gas both out the front and the back. And so people have said, well, let's change the hay or throw some things in there. And nobody knows how to get rid of
no one knows how to get cows to stop farting.
Exactly, or burping. And so there is artificial meat, but that's at a very early stage. But that's another big source of greenhouse gas emission. So, I'm just trying to make sure that the people who acknowledge the problem, which I think is fantastic, that they understand the breadth of innovation required before you can get anywhere near to what we have to do, which is zero.
Bill Gates wants people to eat synthetic meat. Basically, he wants you to eat a 3D printed steak. Well, Bill Gates, you can eat a 3D printed.
Welcome back. Bill Gates finally answered the questions a lot of people have been asking. If you remember, I did a couple of clips where questions like, why is Bill Gates using private jet? Why advocating for net zero? He had an interview recently. This question was answered. Bill Gates does not agree that using a private jet and campaigning on the issue of climate change represent a contradiction open to allegation of hypocrisy. This has been a topic of discussions on this channel. They cannot be telling you, don't do this, at the same time they are doing the contrary.
Should we be preparing for unstoppable climate change?
Well, we can certainly.
And going down on this article, during a wide-range interview with the BBC at the end of last week, Gates was asked for his view on the charge that a climate change campaigner using a private jet to travel around the world was a hypocrite. Where I buy the gold standard of funding claim works do direct air capture that far exceed my family carbon footprint, the Microsoft co-founder who was being interviewed in Kenya replied. Let me repeat this. Where I buy the gold standard of funding claim works to do direct air capture that far exceed my family carbon footprint, the Microsoft co-founder who was being interviewed in Kenya replied. That was his response, particular to this question. Let me go down the article. And I spent billions of dollars on climate innovation, so should I stay at home and not come to Kenya and learn about farming and malaria? He fired back a question to this reporter. The billionaire added that he was comfortable with the idea that not only am I not part of the problem by paying for the upset, but also through the billions that my breakthrough energy group is spending, that I'm part of the solution. The environmental footprint of aviation is significant, with the World Wildlife Fund describing it as one of the fastest growing sources of the greenhouse gas emission driving global climate change. The WWF also says air travel is currently the most carbon intensive activity an individual can make. Within aviation, the use of private jet by the wealthy is a contentious issue that creates a significant amount of debate and discussion. Very true. This has been a discussion on this channel. In Switzerland, Germany has clients such as Strip and Microsoft, and the Microsoft Climate Innovation Fund has invested in the company. It says it uses a technology called direct air capture to capture carbon dioxide directly from the air. The firm adds that combining the carbon dioxide that's been removed from underground storage enables the permanent removal of excesses and legacy carbon dioxide emission, which can no longer contribute to climate change. Gates has previously spoken about using claim works to pay for direct air capture. While the sector has high profile backer, it faces challenges. The International Energy Agency, for instance, note that capturing carbon dioxide from the air is more energy intensive and therefore expensive than capturing it from a point source. Now, when you take a look at this, you realize this is actually something like a backup they are using. You cannot tell me a poor person who cannot use this technology will not travel again. You have the money to use this technology to capture carbon dioxide from the air. How will a poor person do this? This is a question millions of people are asking. If Bill Gates can answer this, then I believe a lot of people will follow suit, or he can provide funds that will help the poor.
Over the past few weeks, there have been several reports of mammals, including minks, otters, foxes, and sea lions, having been infected with H5N1 avian influenza. H5N1 has spread widely in wild birds and poultry for 25 years, but the recent spillover to mammals needs to be monitored closely. For the moment, WHO assesses the risk to humans as low. Since H5N1 first emerged in 1996, we have only seen rare and non-sustained transmission of H5N1 to and between humans. But we cannot assume that will remain the case, and we must prepare for any change in the status quo. As always, people are advised not to touch or collect dead or sick wild animals, but to report them to the local authorities. WHO is working with national authorities and partners to monitor the situation closely and to study cases of H5N1 infection in humans when they occur. WHO's Global Laboratory Network, the Global Influenza Surveillance and Response System, identifies and monitors strains of circulating influenza viruses and provides advice to countries on their risk to human health and available treatment or control measures. WHO recommends countries strengthen surveillance in settings where humans and farmed or wild animals interact. WHO is also continuing to engage with manufacturers to make sure that, if needed, supplies of vaccines and antivirals would be available for global use, and provides advice to countries on their risk to human health and available treatment or control measures. WHO recommends countries strengthen surveillance in settings where humans and farmed or wild animals interact. WHO is also continuing to engage